Yo, 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 another guitar lesson here for you. We've got a question from the last video here from Joe. When I go over these exercises, I always wonder how jazz songs like Autumn Leaves choose when and where to choose what key to circle in. And how do they choose the notes when to leave the key? So you got a couple questions there. Let me just start with the first one. Autumn Leaves, when and where to choose what key to circle in. So basically, if we look at Autumn Leaves, the key is how you decide what key you're in is, in my experience with just writing music and with other musicians who write music, typically it's always dependent on the vocalist. What comfortable key they're best singing in is what the bands will write the song in. Sometimes you have to change the key if it's initially written for a certain singer and then another singer comes in, they change the key, and then that's how the song ends up being recorded. If there's no vocalist, then it's typically just decided on based on the instrument you play, what key you prefer playing in. I think it's rarely, I'm sure it is, but I think it's rarely actually decided based on the actual sound of the pitches of the specific notes in the keys, because it's all relative. So you can play any song in any key. There is a little bit of, discernment in regards to how high you want the notes and the melody and that kind of thing. But in general, it seems like a lot of piano players, guitar players pick the key based on their instrument, what they're comfortable playing in. In Autumn Leaves, we've got an E minor thing. So let me just go through that here. So it's an E minor, and I know that because that's where it resolves. So I'm just going to play the main meat and potatoes of the song here real quick. Just the chord movements. And it all wants to go there. That's E minor. So you could think of it it's technically an E minor. You could think of it as also G major. They're the same key if you like to think of it in the major key. But let's take a look at what they decided. How do you decide when or where to start circling? Well, in this situation, it looks like everything's leading up to resolve on that E minor. So, so we start on the A, which is the 4 in E minor. And then we go to the D, which is the flat 7. So basically, it seems like they just started there because, it's obviously artistic decisions are being made here, creative decisions. But if you started on, let's say, G and did the circle, it's much shorter, right? Or you start on the F sharp, you just got a 2-5-1 in E minor, right? So it's kind of, I would say, it comes with experience. Like the circle here, A to D, G, C. Now we got this F sharp, which is not a 4th or a 5th apart. The B is, and then the E. So we can talk about that. The reason why the F sharp is in there. Well, let's just start with the first chord. 2, the reason it's minor is because we're in the key of E minor. And A minor lives in that key. Okay? It's the 4 chord in E minor. This is assuming we're not doing any kind of changes to the key. Then we go up. This is actually moving in 4ths. We're going up a 4th. Which in the circle of 5ths, it's the same thing. It's just the other way around. It's just going around the circle the opposite way. So you got A minor to D, dominant 7, which is the flat 7 in every minor key. Again, we're staying true to the key. It's what the key gives us. G major 7 here, same thing. We're still in the key of E minor. All these notes live in that key. C major 7, all these notes live in that key. F sharp, half diminished. Now, why do we play F sharp? Because it's not a fourth. We stop the circle of fourths, circle of fifths movement. It's because if we kept the circle of fourths, we'd have to go to F, and F is not in that key. So they're staying true to the key here. If you look at it in the key of G, it's the 7 chord. In the E minor key, it's the 2 chord. And then we go to the 5. Now, this is actually where they have one note substituted, because B dominant 7 is not in the key of E minor. It's actually B minor. So instead of playing, if we stayed true to the key, it would go A minor, D7, G major 7, C major 7, F sharp diminished or half diminished, B minor, E minor. But that doesn't pull to the E minor as much, so they raise that 3 and make it major, which gives you the leading tone, which gives you this nice motion here. Or you could see it like this. You can hear that instead of it's very common chord substitution. People use chord substitutions and change notes and play notes out of the key for specific reasons when they're writing. Even if they don't know it. And they might just think this sounds better. And there's a specific reason that sounds better. It's because it's pulling you, the listener, to that E minor, which is where everything's resolving. So if you see the circle here, right, you got A, D, G, C, F sharp. We break the rules a little bit there in the circle. And then B is back to moving in fourths. And then E. So that's how that works. Let's take a look at your next question here. So that was kind of a lot, but all right, my video stopped working there, but it looks like I answered that first question for you, and I will definitely take a look at the slash chord thing, and I'll make another video. But for now, hope this answered the first part of your question, Joe, and peace out, guys.